Hey, what's up, guys? I made a video a few months back about why I quit smoking, what the reasons why I quit, what it had been like to quit roughly. But I wanted to do a follow up video talking about the things I'm still struggling with. Like, I see a lot of videos on YouTube talking about like, oh, once you quit, your life completely changes. You know, I have had a couple wins that have foundationally changed my life, mainly getting my girlfriend, who's like the love of my life. But in terms of my personal life and my work ethic, there's still things I struggle with that I do believe are an aftermath of having smoking weed for 12 years since the age of 15. It's not an easy journey to stop, and it's like an ongoing battle every day, but it's something that I'm determined to follow through with. I'm 6 months clean now. I admittedly had two stints in there early on, and both times I did it, it was like a month and then another couple weeks after. Both times I hated it. It just made me paranoid, and it was not serving me, and my thoughts while I was under the influence of it were just not good, and it is counterproductive. But let's move on to the things that I'm still struggling with that I'm trying to overcome. And I don't know if I'll get into that too much in this video or if I'll save that for another video. But right now I'm just going to share the things that I've been struggling with. And the first one's discipline. And a lot of these problems I think are prevalent in today's day and age. I know a lot of people who struggle with the same things I do that didn't smoke a bunch of weed like I did, especially at a young age. And I know friends who did smoke but stopped a long time ago and that don't struggle with it as much as I do. But discipline is one of my first problems, doing stuff I don't want to do, and trying to embrace the things I don't want to do. And I know tackling the things I don't want to do head on do change that. For example, this video right now, I've been laying it off all this morning because I just didn't feel ready. I don't feel like there's just so much self-doubt that creeps in that I have to overcome, that I don't necessarily believe in faking it till you make it, but you can't wait till everything's rosy or wait for that prime moment to get something done. And that's why I'm starting this video now, because I can't wait any longer. I can't make excuses, even though this video, hopefully in years to come, I'll improve and I'll make something productive out of it. As of right now, I'm just trying to get my feet wet. The consistent grind because you can do something very well for a short period of time and it won't really matter unless you're doing it on a consistent basis, basically on a daily basis for a long period of time. You're not going to see the results you want to see. It's very, very unlikely. So that's something I'm working on, getting into the gym, starting to read more, purging any social media, purging any non-productive aspects of my life is something I'm working on. And it's small changes. It's a daily grind. Nothing's going to change overnight. But 6 months later, I'm still struggling with lack of discipline, letting my failures overcome me, and wanting to give up too easily. When I was younger and I was still, admittedly smoking, I didn't have that mentality. There was a period of time, especially when I was in college, where I just felt, and this is not a positive trait, but I just felt on top of the world. I felt like I was smarter than everyone else, and I was told by my peers I was smart. But the problem is I didn't follow through with those connections. I didn't follow through and put the work in place to actually have the foundation to back up what I was putting out there on the surface. It's tough, but again, you gotta follow through. You gotta, and you can't break promises, especially the ones that you make to yourself. If you say you're going to do something to yourself, you have to do it. You have to at least, I find that once you start, it's much easier to get going, but the initial starting process is the part that's the toughest, and you can't overthink it, and you got to just jump in and do it. And also with respect to discipline, and I'm fairly certain this is part of, because I smoked, the tendency to follow impulse decisions, like instead of to do this video, to play a game, instead of to do the work I know I need to do, to watch YouTube, things like that, they add up over time and they will waste a ton of time. So, if you're young, man, I really encourage you to just stop wasting your time playing around, smoking weed and playing games, and to focus the vast majority of your life on things that are meaningful, things that will pay dividends in the future. And, I think part of it too is the culture we live in. We live in a day and age where instant gratification is everywhere. Everything is designed to give you instant gratification and to just give you a short, cheap fulfillment now. But delayed gratification and seeking things that actually matter are what's going to give you more fulfillment down the long road. Now, that's not, obviously, I don't think that's the key to life, but that's just what we're talking about in this video is personal success and personal improvement in terms of work ethic. That's the main thing I'm concerned with now. There's other things, relationships, I think that's super important, but that's not something I struggle with as much. My main struggle is work ethic and too much complacency. And I think that's one thing that weed has conditioned me to do, is just to be too complacent and to lack discipline and to make impulse decisions. Another thing I struggle with is attention span. It is hard for me to sit down for long periods of time, especially when there's no deadline. So that's one piece of advice I can give you is try to set hard deadlines, especially for me, I was doing a real estate course and it was so hard for me to get down and study. But once I made that exam, that I scheduled that exam and I paid the $75 to schedule that exam, I was able to just spend 3 days, 5 to 8 hours a day just grinding and studying, and I was able to pass the first try. So, not all is lost. I was able to do that, but I think anyone can do that, and I know that really, I read online that it doesn't really matter how hard you work up to the test, it matters how hard you work after. So setting those deadlines and using the discipline to keep pushing day by day, even if you're not as productive as you want it to be, if you still get something done, I think that is a positive reinforcement loop, and it will lead to more discipline and more work ethic down the road. Things I'm trying to do to combat my lack of attention span and discipline, for that matter, is reading, exercising. I found when I was studying for my real estate test, after I would go to the gym, there was one day I remember specifically where I got done with the gym and I was like, man, I feel so focused right now. I'm actually able to, I was never a good reader, and I never was, I always got information through videos and through audio, but now I've found, especially since I've stopped smoking, that, and quick side note, this is not all a loss. Since I've stopped, there are definitely things that have improved in my life that I'll focus on in another video, but as of right now, being able to read, comprehend, and then apply that information is something that was so challenging because I was just freaking high all the time in school. So reading a textbook, reading information, and then applying that information in a test setting or in a practical setting was very challenging. And since stopping, that has greatly improved, and I was able to, because of the deadline and because I was clear-headed, I was able to read long form content and able to retain that information and then apply it to my test, which I was able to pass the licensing exam first try. And the guy told, and I'm in Utah, by the way, the guy told me at the testing center, most people don't pass on the first try. So that was a good win for me. But again, it matters how much work I put in after I get my exam, after I sign up with my brokerage down the street. That's really what's going to matter most, and that's learning how to do sales. So that's something that I'll be working on, that I'll be trying to improve. But yeah, attention span is something I've been struggling with, but exercise and reading have been the two main things that I think have been helping me, and also making these videos, talking, opening up your brain, even though I'm just talking to a camera right now, and ultimately that's going to be transmitted through YouTube and then to whoever views this. Just getting your thoughts out there, being able to talk about it and articulate what your thoughts are is also therapeutic and helpful. So that's something that hopefully my attention span will increase in the future, and something that I can just power through and focus and get it done. The third thing that I really struggle with is laziness. My goodness, I do believe weed makes you very lazy because it makes you complacent and you're just happy with a mediocre day. You're happy just shooting the crap with your friends and playing games and watching YouTube, watching Netflix, and not getting anything productive done. But especially later on in my journey, when I was smoking, I would just have this gnawing feeling like, wow, this is just not satisfying anymore. This is pathetic to admit, but when I was little, 15, 16 years old, my dream was just to be able to have my own place and, smoke pot on the couch and play games. But, what a silly, stupid idea, because when you get there, it's so unsatisfying. It is not what you think it is when you're little, and you're just tricked into thinking that constant pleasure is the key to life, and it's not. Constant pleasure, there's that one Post Malone song, Goodbyes. It's actually a pretty interesting song. One line he says in there is, me and Kurt feel the same, too much pleasure is pain. And that's very true. Too much pleasure is pain, because I've been also watching the Huberman Lab podcast. You're just filling your brain with too much dopamine, and then you just reduce your dopamine over time, and nothing becomes satisfying anymore, especially too because you're not working for anything. Everything's instant gratification. Everything is just quick wins and not meaningful wins. The meaningful wins come from hard work and discipline, and to do that you need that discipline, you need that attention span, and you can't be lazy. And those are all three things I struggle with right now that I'm working on trying to overcome. And another thing about being lazy, it's hard for me to find the motivation to just get going in the morning. That was one nice thing about school, is it forced you to be motivated in the morning, and whether you felt like it or not, you went. And my job doesn't have a standard schedule, but I find when work gets slower, it's hard for me to be disciplined and motivated to be working on the things that I know I need to be working on. And that's where I'm trying to make that change now. I'm trying to make that change now too, because that external pressure isn't on me. It's internal pressure that I've always ignored and that I haven't fully conquered. And that's something I'm working on now. I got this camera for Christmas, so hopefully I can just keep making these videos, and hopefully, there's people out there that can learn from my mistakes, see this video, see the pitfalls that I'm 27 now, see the things that I'm dealing with now, and hopefully this motivates them to stop and get on the right path earlier, because it's so much easier when you're younger. You have so much more extra time to do the proper things, and you have such a big opportunity to get ahead. Whereas now, guys, I'm playing catch up. There are a lot of opportunities I wasted, and a lot of connections I just let fall through the cracks because I didn't keep up over time, because I just wanted, especially in college, I just wanted to play PUBG and smoke weed, and that's sad. You don't want to be like that, and it's so popular now. It's so accepted by culture now, especially with streaming culture. Seeing people playing games all day. The reality is, it's being a streamer, like anything, it's just one of those niche things that, by all means, if you are called to do that, go do it. But I was not good enough at games. I'm not talented enough in front of a camera to be a streamer. And that's just something that wouldn't work out for me. And I knew that, but I still just wanted to waste time playing games anyway. So that's something to be mindful of, that if you start that path of just accepting complacency, you will become lazy, and combating that when you get older will get tougher and tougher as you go along. I'll go over quickly what I'm trying to do to conquer these these pitfalls. Discipline. It's just think less and just start. If I don't want to go to the gym, even if I don't feel like it, at least getting in there and looking at it and doing some sort of exercise. And once you start it, it's so much easier to get the ball rolling. It's like a snowball. Once you start, it's hard to pack it all and get it in a small ball and start rolling it. But once you do, the returns over time multiply. So getting into the gym even when you don't want to, and just do one exercise, more than likely, I think you'll want to do more exercises and stay in there for a fulfilling amount of time. Also, reading, just starting to read a little bit. And I prefer nonfiction, historical content. I just read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, which hopefully I'll do a video breakdown over time. Once I think I need to read it again before I can properly relay that information. But, just starting with one page. Just start with one page. And if you can read that page and then remember what you just read, that's a start. And hopefully you can keep that snowball rolling and continue on that momentum. As attention span kind of falls under the same category, just starting something, committing to it, and when you try to remove all those distractions, minimize your surroundings to what is most important right in front of your face. But we live in a world where there's so many distractions. You got to just cut that stuff out. You got to, some people may need to go to a flip phone. Me, I just delete the apps, and I'm much less likely to use it again. And things I do want to keep around, like YouTube, I just remove it off my home screen so I don't see it. Use do not disturb mode. Just try to reduce those distractions and start, just start. That's the biggest takeaway I have. Just start doing something, and try to do something that, even though it's uncomfortable, try to do something meaningful and impactful. That's one of the things Jordan Peterson says in his book. One of the rules is do something meaningful, impactful, not something that's expedient. Now, there's a line to that, because, first thing I do in the morning when I need to get motivated is I just start cleaning. I start picking some stuff up, and that helps me a lot to get that ball rolling. Laziness, all three of these things that I'm struggling with kind of go hand in hand. Laziness, it's pretty much the same thing. I think the habits that I'm trying to form will ultimately help me combat these laziness things, laziness, attention span, and discipline. The habits that I'm trying to form hopefully will combat that. But yeah, these are the things I'm struggling with, guys. And when you quit smoking, these things don't just go away. They're things you have to work on. When you quit smoking, your life isn't just going to magically fall into place. But when you quit smoking, you have the clarity of mind to start attacking these problems in your life and to start working on them, and to the opportunity to start new uncomfortable things. That's the thing. Get out of your comfort zone. Weed makes you want to stay in your comfort zone. I used to have here's one of the things that have helped by stopping. Also, this comes with faith too. Probably mainly faith, but also when I used to smoke weed, I got mad social anxiety. Even a normal conversation where I was composing myself reasonably well, I knew what to say, I still would my heart would be racing and I would just be shaking. And since stopping, my social anxiety is essentially gone. You know what? But I also have to give that credit to Faith as well, because I don't see people, even if they're doing better than me in many ways, I don't see them as superior to me. I believe everyone is equal in terms of dignity and value, no matter who they are or what they're going through. So that fundamental belief in believing in, equality, whether no matter who they are, race, skin color, sexual orientation, whatever, no matter what sins they're battling with, because we all have those sins that we battle with, we're all equal, and we all need forgiveness and we all need grace. But that fundamental belief that was taught to me through the New Testament definitely changed the way I think about things, and definitely changed my subconscious behavior in terms of social anxiety. But yeah, that's one of the things that definitely helped by stopping it. Among other things, I was able to, before I couldn't talk to girls, now I have a wonderful girlfriend who's literally, so supportive and so great. And by all means, I look up to her in a lot of ways, but she struggles too, but she never had a weed problem. But, we both are struggling, and we're both honest, and we both talk about it. So, be honest with your shortcomings, be honest with who you truly are. Don't lie to others, and really importantly, don't lie to yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Really think about what you're struggling with and think about ways you can overcome those things. I know this is kind of a rantish video, and it's, I have some notes, but I didn't look at them too much. But really think about what you're going through. Think about how you're going to overcome. And hey guys, this you're not going to get better overnight. This is a long-term battle. And you know what? You don't need to be in the top to be fulfilled. But you do want to make progress from where you are now, because if you don't make progress, you're falling behind. And I know I've heard that all over the place. It's not like an original saying, but yeah, start working on those issues, guys. Don't ignore them, because they will compound into bigger issues in the future. And I hope this video helps. I stopped smoking, but I'm still struggling. But you know what? I'm moving forward. I'm trying to get better at my weak points, and bridge the gaps on the things I need to bridge to create a more successful life. And right now, my main goals, I just want to be a provider. I want to provide for my family in the future, and I don't want to be a drag on anybody spiritually, physically, or financially. So, trying to get into the gym, trying to get in better shape, trying to get better in the mind, more disciplined and physically and mentally fit, and spiritual fitness as well. That stuff is really important. And if you don't believe in God, that's a discussion for another day. But that all those things, if you ignore them, they compound into problems in the future. And weed smoking definitely helped me ignore those problems, and now they've compounded in the future. Now, I'm playing catch up. So I hope this video helps. This is just some me rambling in front of a camera on the internet. I hope it helps, and I hope, especially if you're young, quit smoking and conquer your problems. Face those problems today, and don't ignore them any longer, because, like I said it multiple times, they will compound and they will get worse. But there's always room for improvement, and there's always a better day around the corner. Hey, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment. I'll reply. And have a good one, guys.